And Rafael has no link to Kieran. Like he really does not care, which I'm like, it's like, why would you expect them to care if they've never shown that they've cared in the first place? It's like the surprise Pikachu meme. Like, why be shocked when things happen?
Why be shocked when bad people do bad things?
When they act like how they're characterized to act. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's because he's hot too.
Welcome to The Story Thinker, a Webtoons and Witcher podcast for superfans with scene-by-scene analysis. Featuring sharp co-hosts for a fuller picture, we dive deep into character psychology, relationships, and theories. We'd love it if you could like, subscribe, comment, and rate us on all podcast platforms and social media. For bonus content, you can support The Story Thinker on Patreon. Let's begin.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 131 of Purple Hyacinth, and we are here with Bundin.
Hello.
And this episode is called Salient Scars. And I guess just an announcement, Bundin and I are planning on recording a podcast episode, special one, for the return of In the Bleak Midwinter, which is coming back next week.
Very exciting. It's been a year and a half, and this was one of my favorite webtoons. And now that it's coming back, I'm going to finally get one webtoon a week, which has been my goal for the longest time. So yes, Tuesday webtoon, finally.
Yes. I think it's actually pretty similar to Purple Hyacinth, so to listen to it, I mean, I think it's going to be fun. And then I hopefully going to put out another special video relating to Purple Hyacinth and In the Bleak Midwinter next week before it returns. Fingers crossed. Now that I made it public, I have to do it.
Yes. Obligate yourself.
Right. All right. So we open up. We're at the theater. The Grace and the other detective, Jason Cooper, are investigating, taking pictures, talking to the director, and investigating the murder scene or murder area. And Will and Kim are outside the door. And just that panel of them, they're on opposite sides of the door. Their arms are crossed. They're not looking at each other. They're just still and straight. Like, okay, awkward.
Yeah, it's like awkward, but it's also like they're just like the mood for the entire night was just killed because unexpected death could be murder, and they're both just they probably feel like they couldn't have done anything anyways, but like they're police officers and they were there, and Morgan still died, so I think that on some level they both feel kind of guilty about that, even though there's probably nothing that they could have done anyways, but just them being there probably makes it feel worse for them.
Yeah, so they're both looking down and we focus on their faces, and then Kim looks over at Will and she sees him looking sad, and I think that she feels some compassion for him, like in the next panel with her eyes like that. I think she feels sad for him, which our Kim has feelings, I think, at least
very deep down behind that, all of that humor and the humor that covers the trauma. Yes. Also, that picture of Will in his profile, I think that he looks really handsome there. So
always handsome.
It is, but like, I don't know, that one in particular, I thought that is like made him look good. And I think also she's just remembering that he was there on a date. I think she brings that up later in the episode, or like about to bring it up, but like, yeah, he was like on a date with a woman, and I don't think she's ever thought about Will being on a date with a woman before. So other than it being like a joke. So again, just kind of a new headspace for her.
Yeah, I definitely think that's also on her mind, seeing him in a new light, and maybe hopefully reevaluating how does she feel about Will. Maybe you never think about something that way until it's forced into you, until you like are faced with the reality that maybe this guy is going to go away forever or whatever.
Never know.
Little does she know. But so she uncomfortably like touches her mask and says, "Tonight was something, huh?" Quite unexpected, yeah. And she questions, "Do you really think it could be a murderer, a poisoning like Neyra thought?" And Will says, and to his credit, I love how he's humble and realistic. He says, "My knowledge of poisons is quite limited," which I love it. I love when people don't pretend that they know everything. And it's so realistic. It's like, no, I don't know everything about this. Why I can't pretend to have an opinion on this.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, being realistic about your own abilities, like, yeah, it's good. Again, it says just a little bit more about Will's character.
Yeah, and he says, I don't know of any that could cause that kind of presentation. She looks again, and she looks once again, is really examining him. She's really paying attention to him. And, you know, again, whether seeing him as sad, whether seeing him as like, honest or like responsible, she says, you don't have to stay, you know, it was your night off. And she feels compassionate towards him. And I think maybe respecting him for his responsibility and his sense of obligation.
Yeah, I think that's also on top of, because I might be misremembering this, but when Lauren was telling her about him and Neyra, how she kind of brought up that like his dad wants him to marry her, and she already knows like the kind of pressure that he's under, not only from his family but for himself, because of the hole that his brother leaving left in their family. So like I think she's kind of seeing him being this like reserved and stuff in a new light on top of everything, so she could in a way kind of sees this as like another way of him not being able to choose his like what he really wants to do, because she knows that he probably doesn't want to be there right now anyways, like, but he'll do it anyways because he has this deep sense of like responsibility and duty. So yeah, but I think she's becoming a bit more sympathetic to like him and his struggles.
Yeah. And he says, don't worry about it, I don't mind staying. And she stares at him like awkwardly, says, but she really is giving him a look. And then she asks the question because, hey, she's asking, it's got to be on her mind. He says, so before it was interrupted, twiddle, twiddle, yeah, how is your date going? And it's like, Kim, why are you asking?
Because she wants to be on a date with him.
A lot of people are like, she wants to be on a date with her.
Yeah. The top comments on this episode too are great. I think some of them bring up like some stuff that happens later, but like, yeah, her just being like, how was your date? Like she's like, oh, Will on a date? Like what? But also it's like, Will on a date with me? But she's obviously not thinking of that right now. It's all subconscious, deep down. But yeah.
I remember when I was a little kid, and one of two people I knew had a crush on each other, and they were like teenagers, and I was 10, 9, 8, something like that. And I was very into I was like romance, right? So I was aware they had a crush. And I remember this person was very casually asking me, she was like, so how's whatever doing? As if it's like totally out of the blue. Like, I'm just asking about this person. And even as a little kid, I was like, you're asking because you like him. I mean, I didn't say that, but I thought that.
Yeah. We maintain that psychology low-key for the rest of our lives. Like, oh, you talk about him because you like him. Like we're 5, but.
Yep. And Will's like, my date? Yeah. You can tell he had totally stopped thinking about it as a date. The second 𝗪𝗪 said, I'm gay, like, I'm not interested. And suddenly he's like, what date? I don't know what you're talking about.
I was on a platonic evening out with my friend. Like, that was it. He's just like, I'm just here. This girl, she's cool. We're on the same page. It's all good. No stress, not pressed, relaxing, like, until the death, obviously. But yeah. So like the date was the furthest thing from his mind once Morgan dropped dead.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, with Lady 𝗪𝗪. He's like, oh, yes, it was going well.
I love the fact that he is not like outing her to Kim or anything, even though she said it pretty bluntly when they were together. He doesn't know like if it's okay to tell anybody else. Like he's just keeping it like on the down low, and I respect him for that. Like and obviously he's not thinking about Kim and how she'd think about him being on a date, because Kim having a crush on him is probably the last thing he would ever expect, obviously. So he's just like, oh yeah, no, she's nice. It was good. Like, and Kim's just there like.
I was wondering too, because I was a little frustrated that he didn't tell Kim, oh, she's gay, it's not going to happen, because then, Kim could develop feelings. But yeah, then I thought, I was like, wait, I don't know if 𝗪𝗪 is out, right? I hope she is, but I don't know, right? So.
Yeah, no, low-key, that was my same process. I was like, you save so much conflict by just telling her, but then it was like, but wait, he doesn't have her consent to do that. So him not doing that is a solid thing, but also it's going to cause miscommunication stuff down the line, which is frustrating, but whatever. It's Kiwi. It'll be fun.
Yeah, you can see the drama coming from a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can totally see the scene being like Kim at some point realizing she has feelings, and then she's like, well, I love you, but I can't be with you because you're gonna marry Neyra. And he's like, Neyra, I'm not marrying Neyra. Whatever gave you that idea? And she's like, you did. And then he's like, no. I go, whatever. It'll be fun.
I see that, and I raise you. What if one day Kim sees like Neyra and Bella, and then she's like, well, God, I have some bad news for you. I saw your beautiful girlfriend out with another beautiful woman. I'm sorry. And he's like, oh, I already know that. And she'd be like, what? Like, yeah, she told me back at the opera. She's like, you knew? I would love that. Okay.
Either way, lots of drama. Go ahead. And he's like, oh, Neyra is very nice. Never in 1,000 years would I have expected her to jump out of a lodge like that. Also, I didn't know it was called lodge. I thought it was called a box. But
yeah, I thought it was a box too. I was like, in my mind, I was like, like, you know, when you change words in your mind to be like, this is how I hear it. Like, that was me.
Oh, a theater box.
I watched Phantom of the Opera. I thought it was a box.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah, that's something maybe in like French Quebec, it's called a lodge.
Maybe. That's what I figured. I was like, it's probably Quebecois or something.
I tried looking, but
or Canadian.
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, Neyra, that was heroic on her part. She's probably the only noble in the room who think of doing that. And he's like, oh, for sure, she's great. She's different than the rest of them. It's quite refreshing. And he's like, she has a good head on her shoulders and hides more strength than she lets on, which is a little bit of his tribute. And Kid had like this little smile on her face, which I was wondering if she would have like a little jealous, sad expression on her face. But no, she has a little smile. So she's able to be happy for his, what she thinks is his happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. She looks like, sorry, what?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that she looks like, you know, when your friend is saying something and you become kind of endeared to it, or you're just like, God, I'm like, that's good for you. Like, you know, you just feel that like sense of happiness. That's the vibe I got from her smile there. So I know we've been joking about being in love and all that stuff, but it's like, right now she's just like, he's my friend. It's kind of a weird thing to think about him being with a girl, but I will support him no matter what. And I'm like, good. Friendship goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sweet. And now, to show her great support, she slaps Will on the back. And she's like, if you ever get married, don't forget to invite me to sing at your wedding. Okay, William? Very supportive, very loving, very, very helpful. And he's like, if I ever get married, I don't know if I'll let you at all. I love it.
We love the Kiwi dynamics in this household.
Oh, that's so funny.
Them.
I have to do a little shout out to Rosie Bird TV. She has this podcast together with Tiff. They do Be My Friend. So she's constantly like, she loves Kiwi. She's always posting about them. So I think she like kind of like referenced this. I don't know. She was like raving about Kiwi and her stories, and I was like, I just thought of her when I see them interact. So
they're great. I love their dynamic.
She puts them in a chokehold. She's a very violent young lady. You know, there's like joke violence and there's real violence in this comic, and this is like, well, there's a yellow background, so it's totally okay. And she's like, hey, take that back. I've already been practicing my best minute speech for the past year. You can't do this to me. He's like, I can't take that back if you're joking me, Kim. It's like, oh, let's go.
I swear, when they get together, it's gonna be this, but endearing. It's gonna be like this shit's gonna happen, but they're just gonna be like, I don't know. It's gonna be fun vibes. It's gonna be good vibes.
Yeah,
I feel it.
I always like saying, my husband always says that, like, every time he makes a bad joke or a joke that I think is a bad joke, I always hit him. He's like, if I would do that to you, people would say I'm abusive. You could just hit me whenever you want. I'm like, yeah, you're so big and cuddly and fluffy. It doesn't hurt you.
Love that.
And she's like, anyway, are you okay? Earlier you seemed kind of, you're like, earlier when you were choking with me? And she's like, no, And then, of course,
I love his face in that panel. Sorry, with just the mouth and no eyes and eyebrows. Like, I love when Soph does like the joke stuff. It's so funny. Like, she's such a good like comedic artist, I think. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it's great. But their DMC moment is interrupted by Jason coming out. He's like, all right, I'm done here. Head back to the precinct to get your depositions down. And he says, thank you, director. Your information has been most important. Thank you, detective officers, and him and Grace. Go. Grace says, let's go. This night has been long for everybody. And they are walking down the hallway, and Kim and Will are following. And as they're walking down the hallway, we see pictures framed on the walls. Very nice wall, by the way. I like the whole decor.
Wallpaper's nice.
Yeah. And he stops and he like steps to look in front of a picture, and like the whole background falls out. So it's like dramatic moment, just, you know, paintings on white. And he looks at this picture, and it's a cast of a play, including, you zoom in on this woman waving. She looks very smiley, happy. She's clearly like the lead in this play. And he says, Thalia? And
I was like, ooh, who is that going to be? And then I saw the name. I was like, oh, the ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
The brother's ex-girlfriend.
To make sure we didn't forget, Hope gives us a reminder. We have Rafael talking about their dad. He says, he's always been beyond heartless, but one day he took someone I cherished away from me. In fact, he did that to many others too. And he's like, what? Ooh, that means you're cryptic. I know you worked for engagement with Thalia. It's like highlighted because of him. And then he looks at the date, and he sees this from the XX16. And he says she was part of the troupe until XX16. Okay, now I'm gonna be like a total like bad co-host. I totally forgot what years, what was everything.
XX17 was the explosion. I think we're in XX27 right now. So this was 1 year before.
Fine. Okay, so that would make sense that Rafael would be angry.
Yeah, angry and potentially easily to like radicalize through that entire grieving and dealing with your dad being a terrible human being process.
Yeah. And so he doubles back and he's like, hey, sorry, there's something I want to ask the director. I'll meet you guys at a precinct. And he runs back. And Kim looks after him. She's a little worried. But now Willow goes back to the director and says, Mr. Allen. So the director is really cute. I just have to take a moment to point out. He's a cutie little pie. I know, like, I don't know why we seem to think like things that are little are cute. And like, okay, you know, we should respect him for being a theater director, but he's still adorable.
I also like that they included a little person in the comic, because like you don't really see that often in like webtoons. I don't think I've ever seen it in a webtoon, actually. This is probably the first one. And he's like a respectable person in a respectable position, and people talk to him like they go to him for like answers and stuff. He's clearly like a very experienced guy, and he's got a cool design and everything. I'm just like, good, that's nice. Like to see it.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even like think about it. Like, I just thought he was like very short, but yeah, he's cute. He's very nice. He looks like a really like kind, you know, old man kind of person. And he's like, sorry, I don't wish to take more of your time, but I have a question unrelated to tonight's incident. And he says, of course, Lieutenant Hawks, how can I help you? And he says, Thalia Lynn, she was part of the theater a few years ago. Do you remember her? And he's like, oh yes, of course I remember her. She was most formidable in her role as the dancing beauty back in the day. And he says, when have you last seen her? He's like, oh my, years and years. I can see his accent. It's like a little 𝗲𝗲𝗍𝗲, no?
He does look like 𝗲𝗲𝗍𝗲, oh my god.
And it's like, oh, XX16, maybe, yes, XX16. It was quite strange, in fact. She suddenly stopped coming to rehearsals. Truly a shame. She was cast in the main role in the Black Lake. I wonder if we're supposed to like get any meaning from that. I'm gonna assume no, but whatever. It already told us she was planning to leave the city, but we never thought she'd do so without notice. Okay, so interesting. Like, why do you think she was gonna leave the city? You think it's like Purple Hyacinth?
I thought that maybe she and Rafael were planning to run away together, potentially. Aww. That was my thought. Exactly. Like, and then obviously Dad caught wind about it and something bad happened. And I really hope she's not dead, but knowing this comic, she's probably dead, which I'm sad about, because she, in like the 2 or 3 lines of the entire thing that we know about her, she seemed like a nice person. So
yeah, maybe she could have prevented Rafael from becoming the bleep that he seems to be currently. But yeah. We're gonna pour on some Rafael hatred later.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, have you ever heard of her since she stopped coming to rehearsals? And he says, not at all. Perhaps Green did, or some of the actors. You have more luck with them. And he says, and in XX16, when did she suddenly disappear exactly? And he's like, oh, a few weeks before the premiere, January or February, something like that. And he's like, I see. Thank you, Mr. Allen. Wishing you a restful night. And he's like, but why? And Will walks away. Romantic.
Yeah. I think actually the reason why they bolded the name of the play is potentially Will is going to do some research of his own, look up the play, see the exact date that it was supposed to happen, figure out what day she would have disappeared, and then connect some dots that he knows or remembers from his brother and like their past. And it's going to be sad.
Oh, yeah. Very sad. Turn off the air conditioner. So Will is walking down the hall and he thinks to himself, his brother's words are reverberating in his ear, and he's like, he's a murderer, William. And he closes his eyes because he doesn't want to face the truth.
Yeah, it's like, my dad is an asshole, but a murderer.
Yeah.
But now he's kind of like, oh my God, like, poor boy. Will has to deal with so many things.
Will, the baby. I mean, he's not a baby. I'm calling him Big Dear Baby because I want to hug him. The usual solutions. Yeah, he's a good boy. Always trying to do the right thing. And now there's like a really nice parallel. We have Will's face, right? That like jawline, his eyes are closed, and then boom, next panel, someone's eyes are opening, same positioning, same looks, and it's Rafael. They look a lot alike.
So similar. Like, I like that they look so similar, and that's like a plot point, but like, I don't know, that made for a really good narrative transition.
Yeah, it's awesome, it's awesome. And someone's questioning him, are you absolutely certain? And he says, I am. His back was covered in old scars, flagellation scars. So we know he's talking about Kieran. And then he says, it's not funny at all, it's really sad. And he says, and there was a rounder, uglier one on his shoulder. And you see that he's reporting to Redcliff. Is this, I think it's this scene. Is it? Maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's actually probably a different one because this one has text, so whatever. And he says it's where Apostle X, the 10th, used to mark his slaves.
We could get into this more as we like maybe read a bit more, but this made me be like, yeah, no, the Phantom Scythe has never ever been good. It's always terrible, and they are clearly not about what they say they are, because nothing condones this ever.
Right. In what planet does liberation and helping poor people require enslavement of children and flagellation of children? And
they bring it up later how they mark on the slaves, and how according to rumor the Purple Hyacinth carved it out himself after killing him, right? So yeah, and I don't understand how an organization at its highest levels, literally one of their apostles, was known to the point that people like Rafael, Rafael's probably a messenger, or at least I think he's a messenger, pretty sure he is. But I figure this is probably more well known within the organization itself, but it's known to have slaves that were children that were tortured to the point that people could see the scars on their back to know that they were probably his slaves specifically, and that he branded them with, I say branded, instead mark, I just think of branded because connotation with slavery and just the cruelty of that. But to the point that Kieran carved it out himself, and that's so well known that he was able to be identified specifically because of it. That is disgusting. The leader, we know that the leader has never really cared about, well, maybe he does on some level, but he seems like any means to the end, right? So if you want this, whatever, train the people that will help us to get it, because I figure maybe that's why the slaves were around, probably to be trained to become killing machines, like how Kieran eventually became. But they just are completely immoral in my mind and irredeemable. Like, people at the bottom who have no choice, like, you have no choice, you probably don't know about this, but the organization itself, the hierarchy, the people at the top do, and that's messed up.
Yep. This is why I hate radical movements. Like, anytime in history you look at these radical movements and they start out all idealistic, they always end up doing—
Wait, hold on. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, so any organization starts out super idealistic and they always end up like this, sick, twisted, totally far away from the original ideals and stomping over like millions of people for their goals. It's horrible.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like I said, like, they probably, when they were Snapdragon, were probably not involved in any of this, but something twisted, like probably the massacre at Orion and Sons that like twisted something, but 10 would have been one of the original 12 and is doing this. So I'm just like, okay, they were clearly just a terrible person to begin with to do this. And I just want to know—
they became a terrible person. I mean, it's possible to become, worse over time.
I mean, yeah, but also we had like the Sinclairs in that as well, which I still maintain that they were good and that's probably why they were killed. So, yeah. But yeah, I just, the way that they said it, because we knew he was tortured and stuff, but like slaves, like I was not expecting that at all. And it made me very sad.
Honestly, like we never used the word slave, but if we think about it, like we knew he was imprisoned and not free, right? So
yes.
There we go, that means slave. So
yeah, so that it is what he was, but I don't know, like to phrase it like that kind of made it a lot worse for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it did for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. And yeah, so now we have a new piece of information. He was a slave for Apostle X. And also he carved that out himself, which of course Kieran did, because he's a stubborn mother effer, and he killed the 10th apostle.
Good job, Kieran. Like, I don't condone murder, but good job. Like, people were asking about, because there's some confusion right now in that we always assumed that, because Bella brought up how there was only one person he ever killed without orders. And then it cut to like, I think, a flashback of Chandelier Man, but I'm not sure if I'm remembering that correctly.
I don't think so.
But
I don't remember that. I don't think that Chandelier Man flashback was after she said he only killed one person. I don't even remember that she said that, honestly, but whatever.
That was when after she murked 𝗵𝘂𝗍 and he went to like confront her about it, like to protect Lauren. But yeah, I don't know why, but I thought of that, but it would make a lot more sense if it was 10, but also if he killed an apostle and didn't really get punished for it, like,
how did that happen? How did he get away with that? I really wonder.
Yeah, that's because, again, I think we see a bit of it later. It's like, how is he about to technically get away with people finding out that he's a traitor to the PS? It's because he's more useful alive than dead, so long as you can use him against your enemies, which so dehumanizing.
It's also possible that like Apostle X had done something that kind of warranted his death in the eyes of the PS, so they weren't so upset about it. Right, I'm looking back at episode 72 to see what we see. What else you told him? I'm curious. Yeah, and some people thought the Chandelier Man was the guy, like, oh, Chandelier Man Apostle X, but like, no way. The Chandelier Man was obviously compassionate, kind, and like Kieran didn't want to kill him.
Yeah, Kieran didn't want to kill him. That was clearly probably his first murder. And he said, oh, they're blackmailing you too, which is a theme with him, which I hate. And yeah, so the PS or something, maybe what happened was maybe that was part of his training and was to kill this guy, the Chandelier Man. But since like they had something on him, so he had to do it and he didn't want to. But I don't know, I need to like reread stuff again because things are getting muddled in my mind. But I always thought that it was implied that Chandelier Man was the person that he killed without orders, but also that doesn't really make sense anyways because he didn't want to kill him. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think we're going to find out at a different point who the one person. Well, actually, 1 second. No, the one person he killed without orders is probably Apostle 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's probably Apostle 10. So who was Chandelier Man? Oh,
I think it's just his first kill, and someone who probably helped him at some point because he recognizes him from somewhere. So
yeah. Oh, I haven't. Yeah. I just thought of something. Oh no.
I looked back. It's in episode 73. Yeah, she said you've only ever killed one person without orders. The flashback though is of baby Kieran, like the man being beaten with a stick, and baby Kieran's like ah, and then it hits him in the
so then it is 10. Yeah,
maybe I don't know.
It's probably 10. I see the narrative there, like kill the person who was like his captor, torturer.
Yeah, and exactly. Then you see him in the chair being tortured as an older person, right? And he says, "I have to keep going." Oh, it's horrible. So whatever, and the chains and I can't even look at it. It's just gruesome. But like he's being whipped, and he's like, "I have to keep going." Yeah. So then that makes a lot of sense. He's the one who did all that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And then he killed 10 without orders, got away with it because he's already the best murderer they have. And I assume that was probably around the time that they lost some of the leverage they had over him, which we assume was the death of the person he was trying to protect.
Yeah, he might have even assumed that it was a suicide mission to kill 10, but he didn't care at that point. I like that reasoning, that the protectee was probably dead already.
Yes, so I think protectee's dead, he killed them, but the Phantom side was probably looking to cut their losses anyways and would rather keep him on for his ability rather than getting rid of him, because they probably even see him as like an investment in a disgusting way, but also why would they keep him if they knew all of these things? If he killed one of their apostles.
Hey, why would they trust him if they don't have blackmail over him anymore? Oh.
I'm so curious about his backstory. I think Kieran's backstory is one of my biggest questions in this entire series. He's the one we know the least about in terms of backstory. At least with Kim, we know that she's got like a dead sister and where her watch comes from, right? Like Kieran, we just know like he was captured and tortured at a point. He's trying to protect someone, but they dead, and he still works for them, and they were cool with it.
Yeah, curious. Yeah, so now they discuss this, and I'm interested in the reasoning is kind of interesting. And he's like, "Oh, yes, he did," and that's very interesting. And it's so aggravating, enraging,
aggravating.
Like Redcliff is just like contemplating this, and first of all, he's so stunning while he does it, and it's really unfair, and his jewels are glinting, and they look amazing, and his fashion is on point, and it's not fair. Yeah.
I mean, it's good narrative message, don't judge a book by its cover. But also, he looks like my boy Alucard from Castlevania. He's a sweet, precious boy who needs to be protected. So when I think of this man, I'll just be like, okay, when that positive energy I have for this man's face, it's already in my boy Alucard. And so I will direct that to him. Him, I will just hate for being scum. So.
On point. Yeah, I remember there was, I once met someone who I thought was like cute when I first met him. He was like, my love, he's blonde, he's blue-eyed. And then like, literally like over the course of the week, it was actually a coworker, over the course of a week, I found out what a piece of poop he was. Nasty, bully, mean, gross, like just horrible temper. And like, he very quickly went down in my eyes. Like, he did not look attractive anymore.
Pretty face only gets you so far. Like, if you don't have the personality to back it up, you're basically just like worse for it, because then it's like that face could be used on someone else who's like kind and sweet instead of being a dick. But that's life.
Yeah, and he says he's been rebellious since he was 𝗲𝗲𝗃, and it seems he remained that way. Finally, someone figured it out. Like, it's pretty obvious, people. And he says all those hyacinths he leaves for his victims only ever had one meaning. Okay. Also,
even you.
Why the whole 𝗪𝗃𝗁𝗃 can't figure it out, but he can.
Maybe they don't want to think about it. It's like, why would he do all this and be sorry? And they're just seeing him as like the two-dimensional, like Jack the Ripper type, where it's like
they never met him. They don't know him. He's just a murderer.
Yeah, and like, some of his murders like do seem to point to the fact that he's a heartless killer when we know he's anything but.
I don't want to think about it. It was only a matter of time before he actively started actively acting against us.
Actively acting.
Like, finally, then Rafael is like, are you sure the leader didn't send him after me? Which is interesting, right? They have all these like inner politics because they don't trust each other either. So,
yeah.
Dysfunction, oh my God.
And the Phantom Scythe is just completely, like you said, dysfunctional. Like, it's barely living on a prayer right now. Like, it is on the verge of like imploding on itself, which I think is low-key what's gonna happen at the ball. But
yeah. And he says, well, it is a possibility. I am under surveillance. You probably are as well. Yet, considering how strangely his last mission turned out, something tells me that the purple hyacinth was acting on his own. Okay, he's putting the cards together. He's not stupid at the very least.
You know, he's got a brain and a pretty head of his. Too bad that everything else about him is awful. We do not like him. We do not stand. I love the amount of people who are like, no, we hate Rafael now for snitching on Kieran. I'm like, y'all forget he also, because I assume that he is messenger. That means he snitched on Bella too when Neyra rolled up to visit, in my mind. There's still like some nebulous things, but to me, he's the messenger. He snitched. That's it.
Yeah. Bad dude.
Been a snitch from the beginning.
And he's like, shall I report him to the 12th then? Right? He doesn't even hesitate to throw our boy to the wolves.
I mean, we're getting a bit more of his backstory now, so it does make sense as to why he's like all in on this. Like, he's completely radicalized at this point, probably. We don't know the only glint of humanity is for his brother, but
it literally makes no sense. If someone did something bad to you that you were really saddened by, don't go then do the same things to other people.
It's called hypocrisy.
Sorry.
God, he looks just like his brother God. Like in this panel, like minus the facial hair and the slightly longer hair, it looks so similar.
They do. And Redcliff is like, no. He just has this like cunning, plotting look on his face.
Like a Disney villain.
And Rafael's like, why? Here's your chance to redeem yourself in the leader's eyes, which is like, he just does not care about Kieran at all. Okay, granted, Kieran like also tried to kill him maybe, but whatever, I didn't understand that, but okay, I don't care. Don't do it. That's all.
And Rafael has no link to Kieran. Like, he really does not care, which I'm like, it's like, why would you expect them to care if they've never shown that they've cared in the first place? It's like the surprise Pikachu meme. Like, why be shocked when things happen?
Why be shocked when bad people do bad things?
When they act like how they're characterized to act. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's because he's hot too.
Yeah, and I think also because he's Will's brother and they had an emotional like scenes together. Yeah. And we want him to be good because he's close to someone that we care about who is a good person and who used to look up to him and respected him, and he was a good person, as it seems he was a good brother as a teenager. So we know that he was good in the past, and we just still want him to be good for the person that we care about.
I like that he's not 100% in either direction, you know, like he's human, like, you know, no person is like 100% good or 100% bad. There's layers, there's ebbs and flows. So like he might be really good in terms of like his brother, even though he abandoned him as a child and left him with the dad who he knew was a bad person. Was that good? Who knows? But also it might have been good because maybe he knew about what bringing children into this organization would do. So I don't know, but I don't know, like, I don't like that he is snitching on Kieran, but also it's perfectly in his character to do so. And just because he's doing it doesn't mean he's like terrible, like a terrible person either. Unlike Redcliff, who has never shown anything other than being a terrible person. So,
well, I always say like we know he has done a lot of good for the poor, but I'm kind of assuming it was all selfish reasons. But at least he did it, right? But
he's like one of those rich people who donates charity tax write-offs.
Right. I mean, except most of those people, like, I'm sure they aren't murderers also, you know, like Redcliff, or I don't know exactly what Redcliff did, but like, yeah, I'm sure he was
poor, I think, at least, and then he got the circus, and I think he used that to kind of make his money. I don't know, something along those lines. We'll find out eventually, hopefully, probably.
Mm-hmm. So he chuckles and he's like, oh, the evil chuckle. Oh, the leader doesn't function that way. He will trust me more for bringing out another traitor. No, I have a far more useful idea for the purple hyacinth. Rafael's like, what do you mean? He says, whether the leader knows the purple hyacinth is a traitor or not doesn't matter. However, if we know something the purple hyacinth doesn't want the leader to know, then we have an advantage over him. We can turn his favorite toy against him. And then Rafael's like, you want to blackmail the purple hyacinth? I don't know why he looks so shocked. Looks stunning and shocked.
He just looks stunning. God.
Right? Like that jawline and the sharp features.
Stubble as well. I don't know, man. Soph is just so good at drawing these men. Always.
In one breath, we're cursing him out. The next breath, we're sipping over them. Terrible.
Such is life for us. For us. Like, we are simple women with simple tastes. And you know what? And this is our stuff that we enjoy. It is our escapist fiction that we enjoy. So we can act however we want. It's for us.
It's like the song, I hate you and I love you.
Yes.
But we don't want them, but we love the way they look.
And I also love that it's like, you want to blackmail the purple hyacinth. And when I read that, I was like, how many times is this man going to be blackmailed in his life? God.
Oh, no.
Too many times by the same people.
Yeah, I think Rafael's expression was because he was like, what? Like, that's not going to happen. That's not possible. I think it's because he still has that like reputation of being like incredible.
Yeah, no, he knows with the purple hyacinth. Well, he fought against him. He knows how good he is. He knows that he only got out of that fight by sheer luck of the environment, you know, like, so.
He did a good job. I thought he held his own quite well.
Yeah, no, he held his own quite well. But also, he saw a man take a sword and deflect bullets. So.
Crazy. Kieran. And he leans close and with a sadistic smile, he said, find his weakness. The purple hyacinth's leash will be mine.
If this man comes for Lauren, I am going to yeet him into the sun. But he is going to come for Lauren because he's going to follow Kieran and see them. And then he's going to be like, ah. And then that's going to lead to like the whole situation with why Lauren is in the cave with Neyra. And Neyra's like, he's dead. That's good. This is the start of it, I swear.
I think you could be right. I think like in terms of dramatic purposes, I hope Rafael will have some sort of conflict because he'll realize who Lauren is. Like, I don't think he can forget her. He'd be like, oh shoot, this is my brother's best friend. And now he's like, well, blackmail over Hyacinth, not off my brother's best friend. Choices. So
best friend who I know.
Right. He's gonna have a moral dilemma.
I feel like it could be like the thing with, have you ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender?
No, but my friend always says I should watch it.
The best show ever made, like straight up, best thing ever made. It will be the highest thing in my mind always, every way. Anyways, but yeah, point is there's a character in it. He's got, I wouldn't say who it is, but do you think that they're going for like character redemption and they're given a choice? And you think that they're going to pick into the show? So it's like, what? Like, you think that they've been building up that they're going to be redeemed and then they don't, but then they get redeemed later on. And it's like, I wouldn't mind seeing that type of thing with Rafael, but it's like, so that means he will sell Lauren out anyways, feel kind of bad about it, realize the errors of his ways, team up with his brother and make things right. Will that happen? Probably not. I never try to like predict what's going to happen. I just say what I want or what I see could be, but I'm never like, I know. But
I like
that would be nice.
Yeah, I like that idea. I do think that Rafael needs to sell her out, like for the plot purposes. But I like that. I like the idea of him, repenting. And I think her being in the cave. Well, if she gets kidnapped, sorry, forget the cave part for now. If she gets kidnapped, it'll be a good opportunity for Kieran to come and rescue her, which is fun. I know people are like, oh, it's a trope of the guy rescuing the girl. I don't care. I like it. The girl can rescue the guy. Actually, when you know how like girls have these fantasies of like the guy rescuing them? I always had the opposite fantasy. I was like, I would rescue the guy. Literally, I was like 5 years old and I started like having those daydreams. But yeah, I love when one partner rescues another partner. It's the best.
Tit for tat. Love to see it. I also think this could be a really good way to integrate Bella in some way, because Bella will see that Redcliff is using someone against Kieran as blackmail and kind of realize, oh, that's exact same thing can happen to me because I am almost as good or pretty much as good as Kieran. And if I don't want to do things for him anymore, he's not going to hesitate to use my weaknesses against me now. I feel like it's a good way for her to see it and kind of be like, huh, and maybe who knows, when I get Bella and Kieran teaming up to like save Lauren or like, I don't know, something, anything like that I want. And that's how we end up with Neyra in the picture with Lauren. I'm trying to figure out what that is. He's dead. Oh.
Yeah, so all the theories we had before about he's dead were always like sad, but like, oh, Sandman's dead, Will's dead, Kieran's dead, like, right? Tristan. Now it could be Redcliff is dead, which is great. That would be great.
Could be. We don't know. Again, trying to predict what happens if the series never works. I mean, sometimes it does, obviously, for like small things, but like major plot points and like turning points in the plot are notoriously difficult to like figure out. So, yeah.
I'm excited. The drama. Yeah. The drama. And yes, I guess Rafael hatred. I found it hilarious how everyone was so hateful to Rafael. Yeah, it was like we're all united, which just shows how much we care about Kieran. We don't want him to be in harm's way.
Yeah, I posted this meme in the server the other day, or like when it came out, where it was a meme from like a year ago, where it was like the lady holding like Kevin Hart and pointing at someone, and it's like the Phantom side, and then the person in the arms is like baby Kieran, and it's like three minors and an adult like pointing. I was like, yeah, that's me, just like you touch my son again. No, that was me 100%.
Yep. So excited.
I'm just sad about the revelations about Kieran though, because I feel like we're gonna get like, this is a good segue to kind of lead in, like I said, because I was talking about this in the server as well. Like, I really want Kieran to begin to open up to Lauren finally, and I feel like back when he got the big slice on his back, it's like everybody was like, Nurse Lauren, let's go, and I was like, yes, Nurse Lauren, let's go. I feel like that's a good segue, and I want it.
Listen, he got injured again now with Rafael.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about. He got the slice with Rafael. That's what I meant, because we haven't seen Nurse Lauren since like episode 27, and that was a great time in my life. I'd love to be back there.
Oh, the best. Some episodes are just in my heart. 37, 93. What was the other one? Forgot. The one where he comes to our window.
Oh, that one was so fun to record.
Yeah. Space.
Also, sorry for hearing music now. One of my siblings is playing very loud music outside.
I don't actually hear it.
Great.
So actually, I forgot to do this on a recent episode, but I want to do this new thing, like favorite panel. So what was it called? Kieran's Art Corner. I think we're calling it Kieran's Art Corner. What's your favorite panel?
Okay, this is I hate that it's my favorite one. I just like how it's drawn, but him being like, no.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't know, like his expression is just like, oh, you asshole, you know? I don't know. I think that one's my favorite, and I kind of hate that it is. Like, and the art is good. I don't like him as a person, but he just reminds me of my boy, Alucard, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. That show's very good, by the way. Brutal. I don't know if you'd like it, but 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is great.
My husband told me about it. He told me it was very brutal.
Yeah.
Which, actually, we have spoke about Arcane when we finish recording.
Yeah, at some point we will.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. My favorite panel? Hard. I guess I like the panel right before the last one where Rafael is.
Oh, I was gonna say that. Oh, we can't see it. I can pull it up. I could pull it up. Because yours is like bugging out right now.
Right, it's not what's it called?
Hair. This one, right?
Yeah. I think
I was gonna pick this one as well.
He looks like, you ever seen Treasure Planet? You ever seen Treasure Planet?
I love Treasure Planet.
Yeah, so he reminds me of Jim in that.
He does, like, the way that his hair, like the way that his hair falls. Yeah. I see that. Oh, that's a good movie. That was another boy I had a crush on back in the day. Ooh.
Yes. I love that song still. All right, okay, that's the favorite panel. Anything else to say on this episode?
This episode hurt me, but also I feel like it's a good like teasing of that we're a good indication that we're going to finally learn more about Kieran's backstory at some point. And I look forward to that. Also, stay away from Lauren, but they're probably going to find her and they're going to kidnap her and do stuff, and I don't like it. But also that's going to lead to ship moments. So, you know, gotta weigh that.
Amen. Yes.
Also, I love the author's note at the end where it's like, every Monday I sit in front of my computer and wonder what would happen if I put clown music over a serious episode and just leave it there without explanation. I mean, can they even stop me? And I swear that when this episode came out, it had music on it.
Wait.
And then it stopped. I swear. Like, it wasn't there anymore. People like let me know, because I could have sworn that there was music, but it didn't play or something went up, so I thought that there was something wrong with it, but I could have sworn it was just normal PH music. But if there was actually clown music on this, that would have been an amazing meme.
Yes.
But I don't see anyone talking about that either, so.
Yeah, I don't remember any music, but whatever. You know, my memory is not so reliable about this.
What about you, Mindy? What do you think of this episode?
It was sad. I like Kim and Will. It was very funny. And then, yeah, it was a lot of drama. I like the drama. I like that the story is progressing. I like that there's high stakes. I like that these characters are being pitted against each other in meaningful ways. I like that they all have to make moral decisions that impact the other characters. I think it's a very well done story. Like, everything has stakes, everything has consequences, people's decisions have consequences. I think that's fantastic. I think it's great.
Okay. PH is just consistently being good. I can't believe that it's been out for 6 months already, because it came back in like February. So in like, I think next week's episode, or like, yeah, probably around next week's episode would be like 6 months, which is insane to think about, that we've already gotten so many episodes. And it's usually about 50 a season. So we're like almost halfway. And I'm just like, oh my God.
I know.
Never hiatus is just like so long, but so worth it. So
yeah, love it in my heart. All right.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. This was great.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you so much to my current patrons: Susie, Lady Libris, Lily, Jenny, Molly, Veronica, Emily, Jo, Rochelle, Saucy Toggles, Anne Rose, Alexa, Misty, Joanne, 𝗏𝗏𝗱, Esther, 𝗏𝗏𝗱𝗃𝗍, Emily, Jean, Jen, Erin, Kay, Lily, Beckett, Duranda, Christine, Sadie, Kelly, Teresa, Mrs. Gastaldo, Tatiana, Louisa, Rachel, and Stacey Moon. Your support is truly appreciated.